Welcome to From the Vaults, an ongoing video series from the Rare Book and Special Collections Division at the Library of Congress. My name is Amanda Zimmerman, and I am a reference librarian in the division. And today we're going to take a look at a mysterious set of volumes from Harry Houdini's personal library. Houdini, whom we perhaps know best as magician and escape artist, wrote in his 1924 book, A Magician Among the Spirits, that he had, quote, accumulated one of the largest libraries in the world on psychic phenomena, spiritualism, magic, witchcraft, demonology, evil spirits, etc., some of the material going back as far as 1489. In 1927, through Houdini's bequest, the library was lucky enough to receive nearly 4,000 volumes from Houdini's personal library, each bearing his unique bookplate. One of the great joys of working for the Library of Congress is that we receive reference and research queries from people around the world, and the Houdini collection tends to get a lot of attention. These volumes from Houdini's library were brought to our attention when a researcher wrote in with a reference question about them, and we ended up learning a lot more than we bargained for. The books themselves don't tell you much about their use or their origin. Even their author, Frederick Hockley, is an enigmatic figure who we don't know much about, even though he is often referenced as a key contributor to the 19th century occult movement in England. Mr. Hockley's early life is especially shrouded in mystery. There are no official records of his birth, his family, or his education. Scholars have only been able to piece together information about him by tracing his name through UK census records or the proving of his will and the announcement of his death in 1885. Here's what we do know about Mr. Hockley. From a natal chart in one of his own books, we see that he was born in 1808 somewhere near London, though we can't be sure where. In 1816, he started working for a man named John Denley, who was a dealer in rare manuscripts dealing with the occult. The work that Hockley did for Denley was to copy 17th century manuscripts so that Denley could sell these reproductions. And in doing this work, he became immensely interested in all of the emerging occult phenomena that was coming out around this time. In a lecture he gave at the London Dialectical Society's Special Committee on Spiritualism, Hockley mentioned that he began his early work with crystals and mirrors as early as 16 years old, and he quickly became convinced that this was the only true way to speak with the beyond. He also mentioned that he had 30 volumes of notes from his scrying experiments, containing upwards of 12,000 answers from the beyond, which he kept carefully under lock and key. After Hockley's death in 1885, his vast collection of books and manuscripts, crystals, and mirrors were all dispersed and sold in various channels, and only some of them can currently be traced. Though a handful of Hockley's works from his library have been identified around the world, including one at the Folger Shakespeare Library and another at the Wellcome Collection, none of his scrying notebooks have yet been recovered. In fact, Hockley scholars have long lamented that these may just be lost to history. That brings us back to Houdini and to the Library of Congress. Tucked away in Houdini's already unusual collection are these volumes, which are unlike any others in his collection. We're not sure when or where Houdini acquired them, and we also don't know why he only has some volumes, 4, 5, and 7 through 15. They are rather puzzling. They contain handwritten notes and strange diagrams with little or no explanation. They seem completely impenetrable. In an effort to learn more about them, the Rare Book and Special Collections Division had each one digitized, and then we asked for your help. Over the past year, members of the public have been helping the library's By the People crowdsourcing campaign by helping to transcribe the text in these mysterious volumes. The strange jottings inside are in fact the notes Hockley kept during his crystal gazing experiments, including descriptions of spirits he and his medium came into contact with, the questions asked of and information received from those spirits, and astrological and astronomical readings, graphs, and charts. Thus, with your help, scholars from around the world can now view, study, and interpret Hockley's scrying experiments and his occult knowledge for the very first time. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's our hope that through this project, more Hockley volumes will come to light in institutions around the world. We look forward to sharing with you more of our favorite items from the vaults in the Library of Congress.